Hi everyone! I was just looking through my pile of books to review and realised that I haven't yet reviewed the latest book from Maria Trolle, which I've had for a couple of months now. It's just one of those books that I just haven't got around to reviewing and I totally forgot about it, which is a massive shame because it's a gorgeous book. So this is called Sägen, not sure how to say it. Let's type it in. Okay, here we go.
Sägen. Sägen.
There you go, that's how you say it. But apparently in Dutch it means legends, so that's what the book is called. I've also taken the liberty of writing down in English all the different fairy tales and things that are within this book, because obviously it's about legends and fairy tales and things, just so that make it a little bit easier on us to decipher what's going on in the illustration. So it is a hardback book. It's the same kind of size and shape as Maria's books that she's produced recently, like Starfall. I think her older books like Blomster Mandala are a bit thicker and were maybe a different publisher. This one is Bookmark Forlag, so yeah, it's the same as Starfall was, and it's absolutely gorgeous. There's rose gold detailing on the front and on the back as well, and there's all of her previous books. Like I said, I think this particular one is the same size as Starfall, whereas all of these, they might have been print works. I think they published those ones, so it's a little bit smaller, a little bit more portable, easy to handle. And we'll have a look inside. The cover is lovely. It feels like a really nice, almost cloth texture. So this is what it looks like inside. We have a gorgeous deep teal green on the inside cover. Then we have the copyright information and the title page with a cute little fairy. Then we have a little bit of information here from Maria. So this is just explaining that a lot of these illustrations in the book are from things like the Brothers Grimm, Hans Christian Andersen, sort of fairy tales. So that's what we're going to get out of the book. I have, like I said, translated the all of the different things that are in this book, so I'm going to be reading off of my translation notes that I've made. So clearly we don't need the translation for this one. This is Puss in Boots, a fairy tale by the Brothers Grimm. And if you've seen Maria's work before, you know she's just an absolutely incredibly talented illustrator. Her work is stunning. There's always lots of flora, fauna, plants and flowers and things going on. It's very nature inspired, very natural. And of course there's always animals involved. So here's Puss in Boots. Really, really sweet. The next one is the story of the moose bull, who I think is called Scut, and the little princess Tuvstar. I'm hoping that that's... I'm going to butcher these pronunciations, so sorry Maria and sorry everyone that lives where Maria is from. Yeah, so this is what this story is about. So we've got a moose and a little princess. And this is just an encapsulated illustration in this rectangular border with just a few of the details poking out at the top. It's gorgeous, these little snapshot images that are framed, and yeah, I just love them. It's like taking a little photograph of a scene. So I think this must be to do with this, because it said pages 8 and 9 and the pages are numbered. So this must be something from that fairy tale, this heart-shaped locket in the little pond. Then page 10 and 11 we have got Cinderella, which of course is a Brothers Grimm fairy tale. So here she is, Cinders, and Maria is sort of known for these circular motifs that don't always join up on the edges. I've coloured a couple of them in the past. They can't be contained, the illustrations, the nature, it's so alive, it has to sort of break out of any confines. But that's what I love about Maria's illustrations. And here, of course, is the glass slipper with a cute little mouse and even a little teeny tiny fairy. I don't even know what kind of pen Maria must have used for that. It must be a 0000.1 to do the little fairy's face. Then we have pages 12 to 13, which is the Flower Queen's Daughter, a Romanian folk tale. So not one I've heard of, but here is the Flower Queen, I suppose, or is it the daughter? I don't know. And she's sort of encapsulated by a dragon, which is a really nice way of making a frame. So it shows a lot of imagination, originality and creativity. And then we have the fish jumping out of the water wearing a little crown. If any of you are, you know, up to date and know these kind of fairy tales, maybe the ones that I don't know, the Romanian ones and stuff like that, please let me know in the comments, you know, what the fairy tale's about and whether you think these illustrations really match with the tale. So pages 14 to 15 we have Thumbelina, which is by Hans Christian Andersen. So it's about this cute little girl, and she's very, very tiny. You can see her sat on a lily pad here. And on this page we've got another framed scene. We've got some sakura cherry blossoms, a cute little bird, I think it might be a swallow, and then we've got Thumbelina and her prince inside the flower. So that's what I always think of when I think of Thumbelina. She's sat in the middle of a flower, so it just tells you how tiny she is. But look, you've got different line thicknesses. I mean, most of the line thicknesses are the same, but there are, you know, variations here and there. These little fairies and little prince and princesses are very, very delicately drawn with, like I said, must be the tiniest little pen in history. But yeah, I love the variation in Maria's work. So page 16 and 17 is called Corvel or Curvel, which is Rapunzel, another fairy tale from the Brothers Grimm. So I guess that Corvel or Curvel is the Dutch for Rapunzel. Again, apologies if I'm wrong there. But you can see we've got the tall tower, we've got little Rapunzel in the window with everything going on beneath, and all she can do is stay trapped in the tower. And here's the little prince on horseback coming to try and rescue her. And this is fantastic. So this is all of Rapunzel's hair, beautifully braided, and, you know, little tiny bits of plants and little sprigs of flowers all embedded in her hair. Then we have pages 18 to 19, which is The Wishes, a folktale written by Eva Wigström, hopefully, and it's from The Bird with a Gold Box. So I'm not again sure what this story is about, but hopefully you guys will know. I know I've got a lot of subscribers and people that watch me from all kinds of different countries, different cultures, and I would just love to know, you know, what these fairy tales are and what you think of the illustrations. So there's a little princess, beautiful archway with lots of vines and flowers around it, and here she is, tiny little teeny little fairy sat on an apple, I think. Yeah, looks like an apple to me, with a couple of cute little mice. Pages 20 to 21, I don't think we need a translation for this one. It's Jack and the Beanstalk, which Maria has listed as an English folktale. And you can see him here, climbing up the beanstalk into the clouds. And here he is, surrounded by a beanstalk and just sat on the very end of it with his golden goose. Pages 22 and 23. This illustration is called The Wind in the Pine Tree, and I think it's a Japanese folklore or tale, because the translation that I've done from Maria's notes in the back of this book probably aren't perfect translations, so I believe this is a Japanese folktale, and it's fantastic. I mean, look, this little girl's got antlers, we've got a crowned princess here. This is like a fox girl, I think. She's got very sort of watery hair with seaweed in it, probably a mermaid. Yeah, I can just see the tail of the mermaid. This looks like a fawn playing a flute, reminds me of Spyro the Dragon, best game ever. We've got a cute little bear type thing here. We've even got a cloud playing the drums, a cute little winged imp maybe, even a bean with a little stalk growing out of his head. I love how he's just chilling there. Yeah, this is great. I mean, Maria's work is just so imaginative, and so much is captured in what could be just seen at first glance as very basic illustrations. There's not a lot of detail going on, but it's just, they're so magical. We have Mermaid here. So this, of course, is The Little Mermaid by Hans Christian Andersen. So here she is surrounded by Ursula's tentacles. I can imagine this being coloured with obviously beautiful aqua parrot greens for the water, and then contrasting purple tentacles and a lot of depth, a vignette round it maybe, some darkness creeping in. Yeah, I've got to colour that one for sure. And here she is above the waves, just sat on the crests with her little fish friends waiting for her prince. Pages 26 and 27 is one called Eldernet, again by Hans Christian Andersen. Maybe this has an English title, but it didn't translate that for me. And it's what looks like a rather crazy-eyed looking bulldog. So I'd really love to know what this fairy tale is. He's sat on a treasure chest. He's got what look like talons. And maybe, are these rocks or are these eggs behind him? This is really creepy. And here is the princess escaping on his back at night time, just lit by the lanterns and the very slight, delicate silhouette of the houses in the background. 28 to 29 is The Green Goat, a folk tale by, again, Eva Wigström from The Bird with the Gold Box. And, oh, look. This page is lovely as it is. We know Maria likes to draw a lot of trees, so you will always see trees in Maria's book. We've got the little deer, the really nice fence as well. This is like some trellisy fencing with plants creeping up it. But then this page, look, it's like they're within these beautiful stone arches. The little couple down here, again with the tiniest, teeniest little faces. So if you're worried about colouring skin, please don't be. You do not need any skill for this whatsoever. You know, where colouring skin is concerned anyway. But I just love how it's framed by these two potted trees, and it looks and feels very exotic. Pages 30 to 31 is Little Red Riding Hood, of course. So here she is in her cape, walking through the woods with her basket of treats for Grandma. We've got that little cute winged imp again, just hiding up here, watching everything happen, and a cute little mouse as well. And then here she is, sort of back to back with the wolf, and it almost looks like, is she the wolf in secret? Does she have like a split persona? Maybe she is Red Riding Hood in the day and then the wolf by night. Maybe that's just my imagination. Then we've got 32 and 33, which is Flower Fairies, based on a mythological phenomenon. So I don't think this is actually a story or a folklore. This is just to symbolise flower fairies, because a lot of people do actually believe in flower fairies. I'd love I want to believe in them, you know, but I'm a bit too rational and logic for that. But I want to be idealistic and, you know, dreamy. Here we've got a little apple, which is obviously the flower fairy's home. Really cute little door and window, even a little sweeping brush outside, and some smoke coming from the chimney. And here are some flower fairies sat among the hydrangeas, which is one of my favourite flowers. I love the colours, I love how they're all clustered together, and I love how big they grow as well. I wish I could grow my own, but I don't actually have any soil in my garden. And I can't keep plants alive, so, you know, that's it. Number 34 and 35 is The Ugly Duckling, again by H.C. Andersen. The Ugly Duckling always reminds me of a little play that my son did when he was about 3 or 4 at school. And they had to sing the Ugly Duckling song. I've still got it on video. It's the cutest thing you've ever seen. But anyway, that's the tale of the Ugly Duckling. So obviously it is the duck that is classed as ugly because he's not the same colour and he doesn't look quite right with the other ducklings. But then it turns out he is a beautiful, majestic swan. I believe that's the story. I'm going to say it is because I can see, you know, what I can see here. And it's been a while, it's been a long time. Now, there are some little ink marks on this because I believe I've coloured the next page over. But you know, if you ever do that and you're pressing too hard on the page and it puts a bit of ink, you know, from this illustration onto this one, you can just rub it out really easily with an eraser. I'll do the rest of that later on. But yeah, just in case that ever happens to you and you're a bit worried that you've ruined your illustration. So this is page 36 and 37, The Boy Who Was Never Afraid, a fairy tale by Alfred Smedberg and John Bauer. Hopefully, again, I'm saying that right. So The Boy Who Was Never Afraid, that's interesting. We've got the little boy down here. We've even got a bear in the background and a cunning fox. But then look at this huge human-shaped rock. It looks like it's been carved. And it's just, but not carved, but like naturally shaped in the face of a human. It's absolutely lovely and really interesting. Then here we've got, I guess, another character from that, which is, it looks like a female fox hybrid, again with the little imp, and some little rocks down here with faces on. This reminds me of the film, is it, I don't know if it's in Frozen where they're walking through and the rocks come to life. I could be wrong, it might not be Frozen. It's been a long time since I've seen that film, but that's what this reminds me of. So I might want to take the colour palette from there, maybe just have a bit of a reference with that. And then here we go, the one that I have coloured. So this is page 38-39, which is the Tin Soldier tale, again by Hans Christian Andersen, and this is the one I've coloured. I believe I did it with polychromos and luminance. Just looking at the colours here, yeah, it's giving, this is definitely giving luminance, and I'm pretty sure I would have used some, not polychromos, sorry, Prismacolor and luminance on this one. Had loads of fun with it. As you can see, I've got some lovely blends going on, some really nice contrasting colours as well. So we've got the orange yellow on the blue background, and it just really pops. Really pleased with how this one turned out, and I do like to colour a page in a book before I review it. I don't always manage to, but I do like to, so that you can see what they like coloured, and it just gives you that bit of extra insight into what these might look like when you put your colours to the page. So here is the, again, there's Tin Soldier and the ballerina, and then we have him here again on a little paper boat on the waves. The next pages are 40 and 41, which is called The Ringing Tree, a folk tale by, again, Eva Wigström from The Bird with the Gold Box. So I'm guessing that she made like a compendium book of tales, and this is just one of the tales from within. So The Ringing Tree, that's interesting. We do have branches here with bells on, so I'm guessing that's where the ringing comes from. Can't see any bells on the tree itself, but yeah, I love the illustration anyway. You don't even have to know the fairy tales to colour this book. Of course you don't. You can just get your colours to paper and appreciate the illustration for what it is without any context. And I love the trellis with the, what are these flowers? They're not peonies, are they? I don't know. But I love the flowers sort of intertwined around the trellis. Then we've got pages 42 to 43. And this is Sleeping Beauty. So we all know that one, don't we? The Brothers Grimm. Apparently it was a French 14th century novel. So this is like way back. I didn't realise Sleeping Beauty was that old. But she has been asleep for a long time, so we'll give her some credit. Here she is, asleep, surrounded by flowers. We've even got the spinning loom here. So didn't she spin gold thread and then she nicked her finger on it and fell asleep? As you can tell, I'm not brilliant with fairy tales. I guess it's also come with having two boys and no girls, which isn't to say boys can't watch Sleeping Beauty. My boys watched everything, but I guess I just didn't get into more of the quote-unquote films for girls, and it was more sort of like the laddish things that we were watching. So I guess I know more about those kinds of films than I do about these sorts of ones. And I mean, even though I myself am a girl, I didn't really read a lot of fairy tales growing up, so I've sort of absorbed and sponged from culture and social things to know what I'm talking about, really. And here is the castle, and it's all surrounded by thorns. We've got Prince on horseback again, and Sleeping Beauty is going to be somewhere within that castle, but he's got to get through all of those thorns and spiky foliage first to wake her with a kiss. I think that's usually the way it goes, isn't it? Then we've got pages 44-45, which is the legend of, oh my goodness, this is another word I can't say. Stos je duret. No, not even going to try. It says it's a phenomenon in Jämtland folklore. I don't know what Jämtland is. Is it German? Maybe, I don't know. I'll just show you how it's spelt, or how the translator has spelt it. So here it is. If any of you can translate that, please let me know, because I'm super ignorant when it comes to other countries and other cultures and things, and I really want to be more cultured and more knowledgeable about stuff, but I don't know, I can't retain information. My brain's rubbish. So yeah, I've again no idea what this is about, but I'm going to guess it is about a sea creature, a bit like Loch Ness, I suppose. Is a little person fishing off their boat, and he's actually got a little cabin on his head with a whole sort of ecosystem going on. So again, I'm sure that's, you know, more Maria's imagination as well. And then when he sort of bobs his head down under the waterline, you've just got the cabin on top and it's a little island in the water. So he's literally making up this island on the top of his head. Page 46, 47. I don't actually have a translation for some reason, just looking at my notes that I've made. Must have missed that one off. Is it Hansel and Gretel? It looks like it, doesn't it? We've got the sister and the younger brother in the woods at night. Really creepy looking figure in the background here with antlers. It's got to be Hansel and Gretel, right? But then you'd think they'd be a witch or something. Let's have a look in the back of the books. Like I said, Maria has listed them. So we're page 46, 47. Lille broer og lille sister. It's a Brothers Grimm one. Little brother and little sister, is that? So maybe not Hansel and Gretel then, but another similar tale. Who knows? It's a gorgeous illustration, and I can just imagine the deep dark tones you could use to really invoke the feeling of this dread that you would feel as a child walking through scary woods alone, or with your brother. And here she is, she's shedding a little tear, but she has found a cute little deer friend as well. Pages 48, 49 is Nightingale by Hans Christian Andersen. So this I'm not familiar with. Obviously the nightingale, I remember there being something about it being a caged bird, maybe in a gilded cage, and it escaping from the cage. But that could just be my brain making things up, or it's probably I've dreamt it or something. But this looks rather, it looks kind of like Chinese architecture, doesn't it? That really old traditional with the sakura blossoms as well. It must be, surely. But yeah, nonetheless, a beautiful illustration. Again, I can just imagine the deep reds and golds and creams that you could use on this. Page 50, 51, again, I don't know what happened there. I don't have a translation for it, so we will refer to the back. Not something I can read. Italian, Snovit. This must be Snow White, right? Snovit, Snow White. Oh my goodness, I hope I'm not offending everyone. Yeah, it's got to be, because look, we've got the little dwarfs. There you go. Snow White and the little dwarfs. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 of them. So yeah, think we're on the right track there. Here she is, beautiful hair and facial expression, really cute little flowers as well. I love the little dwarves and how they're sort of sat, you know, looking up at her. And here she is going through the woods, so I guess she's going out maybe to pick fruit, or mind you, she walked through the woods, didn't she, to get away from the evil queen, and that's how she ended up at the dwarf's house, right? I should know more about this. I love these little winged imps that keep showing up. They're almost like little aliens. This I know without even looking, this is Aladdin, because this was my favourite Disney film growing up. As I said, I didn't watch too many Disney films. I wasn't really into it. You'd more likely catch me watching Goosebumps and Are You Afraid of the Dark and things like that, and probably, you know, 18 rated horror films as well, even at a young age. But Aladdin was my favourite. I did have the bed covers of Aladdin and Jasmine, I remember very well. I love this this film. So obviously we've got the lamp and the genie escaping, really cute little genie. And then all of the treasures and things underneath, and figs and cherries and lovely sumptuous fruit that obviously you're not meant to touch, but little Apu the monkey touched them, didn't he? And that's when it all went wrong. And here he is, Aladdin, just relaxing in a cloud of smoke from the lamp. There we go. And Agrabah in the background. This is Hansel and Gretel. Yes, because we have the gingerbread cottage. Great. So I'll just check on that. Yeah, Hansel and Gretel, German folktale recorded by the Brothers Grimm. Here's Hansel and Gretel. Very similar, isn't it, though, to the other illustration that we saw. And we've got foxes, and this again looks like a rock that has windows in. Very strange. But then here, of course, excuse me, is the gingerbread cottage made out of sweets and biscuit and all nice things. But there's not very nice things inside. We know there's a witch in there, and she's going to try and fatten Hansel and Gretel up for her dinner. 56, 57 is The Moon Maiden, again a Japanese folk tale, so we're also going into Asia, and it's not just European folk tales, you know, we've got a good selection here. So Japanese folk tale, big sticks of bamboo as you can see, and the little girl in her kimono, I believe this is, very cute. Again, lots of opportunities to look at reference photos for Japanese wear. You can see here she's also wearing it, looks like she's grown up a little bit. And you've got the moon behind her because she is the Moon Maiden. There's also peacock feathers here, so a little bit more detail and a bit more to do on this one. 58, 59 is called East of the Sun, North of the Earth, a Swedish folk tale. So again, not something I've heard of, but you can see he is going east from the sun. And is she going north from the earth? Like, what's happening here? I can't see north from the earth depicted, but anyhow, again, I would love to know what this fairy tale is about. You can see he's riding on what looks like a giant phoenix, actually. You can imagine the flames in the feathers. And this is just a cute illustration no matter what. It's a cute little scene with a castle on the hill and, you know, very good perspective with like the foreground and the, yeah, awesome, beautiful. Pages 60, 61 is The Seven Ravens, a German folk tale from the Brothers Grimm. What did I say it was? The Seven Ravens. So there we go, there's your seven ravens flying around the sun on this seaside scene. And there's a little girl again, tiniest pen in existence, walking along the path. And then here she is looking up at the falling stars, it looks like. Fantastic. Again, not aware of that fairy tale. 62, 63 is The Frog King, which I have heard of, but again, I don't know too much about. Is this like Princess and the Frog, where she kisses the frog and it turns into a prince, or is that a completely different tale? Anyhow, it looks like it is because she's a princess. She's got her crown and she's looking down at the little frog. And here he is wearing a crown as well. I don't know what he's sat on here. She's holding it in this picture and he's sat on it here. Again, if you've seen the film or read the tale, you'll probably know what this is. Let me know. I believe these are bleeding heart flowers. Page 64, 65, The Golden Tree, The Singing River, and The Talking Bird, possibly a Persian folk tale, again recorded by Eva Wigström from The Bird with the Gold Box. So The Golden Tree, The Singing River. So we've got Golden Tree, Singing River, and Talking Bird. Okay, so I don't know what that one's about, but again, you really don't need to. You don't need to translate any of this. Just colour the book and appreciate it for what it is. But, you know, if you do know it, if you're curious like me and you want to know what it is that's being depicted, then all that info's in the back. You can look it up. I obviously translated all of the titles, but I haven't looked up all of the different stories. So this is page 66, 67, and without even checking, you can see it's Beauty and the Beast, which apparently is a French fairy tale, which I think Beauty and the Beast was set in France, right? I haven't seen it. Oh, I don't know. And yeah, so this is gorgeous, look. So here's Beauty coming up to the castle. Isn't it her father died, or her father got really ill and she had to live with the Beast? I wish I knew. But this is just a stunning snapshot, isn't it? And here she is with the Beast himself. This will be a fun one to colour. Again, take your colour references and colour palettes from the films. That's what I would do. I'd try and make it, it's not going to look realistic because these illustrations aren't realistic, but it's going to be true to the subject. And yeah, that's what I think anyway. 68, 69, I don't have one for again. So let's go back. 68, 69 is Snøhvit og Rosenrod, Brothers Grimm. Now Snøhvit, I hope I'm saying that right because I probably sound like an idiot. Snow White, isn't it? Snow White and Rose Red? Snow White and Rose Red? I've heard of that before, but I haven't got a clue who Rose Red is. Is she like Snow White's alter ego? I don't know. But again, beautiful illustrations of the woodland. And here they are with a bear. 7071 is The Town Musicians from Bremen, a German fairy tale, again recorded by the Brothers Grimm. So Town Musicians, I've seen this before, this kind of one animal stacked upon the other. And it looks like they're all singing, so that makes sense with them being town musicians. And I guess this is the little pub maybe that they come and sing at. I've definitely seen this kind of illustration painted or depicted somewhere before. 7273 is The Three Swans, a folk tale recorded again by Eva Wigström from The Bird with the Gold Box. So The Three Swans. So we've got a girl here absolutely full of plumage and then two swan necks. And then here we've got three girls and there are, yeah, three swans as well. So it looks a bit like sort of Swan Lake. Looks like they're doing ballet. 7475 is The Missing Bride, a folk tale from The Bird with the Gold Box. I'm going to have to get that book. So The Missing Bride, so does she run away? I guess so. Is it like Runaway Bride? You can see that she's all dressed up for her wedding, but if she's missing, then I guess she ain't getting married. So she's waiting here for the dragon to come along and rescue her, a bit like in Shrek, I suppose. 7677 is The Goosekeeper at the Spring, a German fairy tale recorded by the Brothers Grimm. So The Goosekeeper at the Spring. So you would think a spring, you'd think water, or would you think in the spring because there's tulips? So maybe that translation's just a bit iffy. But yeah, so we've got little geese, she's sweeping up, and then we've got a little fairy godmother. Could this be very similar to Cinderella? Looks like it is. We've got the fairy godmother, we've got the girl dressed in sort of a dowdy dress cleaning up with a brush, so maybe it is. This looks like a jewellery box full of different gems. 7879 is The Tale of the Snowdrop, a Romanian folk tale. I love snowdrops, I love to see them because it means that the winter's coming to a close and spring and summer is on the way. So we've got lots of nice, light, happy, warm days ahead. Not too warm though, it's absolutely roasting here at the minute, and I could do with it being winter at the minute, to be honest. But yeah, so The Tale of the Snowdrop. This looks like an ice queen. She's got an icicle on her head, she's got icicles on her belt, and then a cute little, I guess a little boy with an acorn hat. We've got the big sunflower, the big peonies as well, and then here's the snowdrop. Beautiful wintry colours I'm envisioning with this one. 8081 is The Farm Elf, based on the protective system in Nordic folklore. That's probably a weird translation. The Farm Elf, not one that I've heard of. Again, it's Nordic, it's not something I probably would have been exposed to. But yeah, so we've got a little elf, and this is a wintry scene. So we have kind of got some of the seasons being depicted in these stories as well. There's his little cabin, and here he is sat in the tree eating nuts by lamplight with his friend the squirrel. 8283 is of course The Nutcracker and the Mouse King, a German fairy tale by E.T.A. Hoffmann. Didn't know that. So here is obviously the Nutcracker. The Mouse King is nowhere to be seen. But I just always thought of it as the Nutcracker anyway. So here's the little ballerina girl, and then we've got some fir leaves, fir branches, fir strands, ribbon, and lots of Christmas decorations. And then here's a beautiful fairy surrounded by sweet treats. And that is the end of the book. So there is your register, there's your list of all of the different fairy tales and legends captured inside the book, and all I did was put a translator app over that, and that's kind of what came out of it. So yeah, I think these are more, these will be the books or whoever that they came from, so it's just properly crediting them, like Brothers Grimm. Yeah, and then you've got that weird little bulldog. Yeah. Anyways, here's a picture of Maria. She's absolutely stunning, and she is obviously a very well-known illustrator in the colouring community. We love her work. We loved a new book from Maria. They're always incredibly high quality. The paper, before I go, you know, that's the main reason I do these, is to tell you what the paper's like, but I always forget. Paper's gorgeous. It feels smooth to the touch, but there is definitely a tooth to pick up on the pigments of your pencils. Obviously it's double-sided, so you've got to be careful what you use on the paper, but it is quite thick. It feels like a nice quality stock, and it's ivory coloured rather than pure white, so it's nice and soft. So there you go. That was a very talkative review, as usual from me. I hope you've enjoyed it. I really hope that you love the book. I don't see how you couldn't, to be honest. I'll leave links in the description if you want to go ahead and buy yourself a copy. And I believe that the new edition of this, the English edition of it, is either out or coming out very soon. And I reckon it's called Fairytale Worlds. Maybe, I don't know. Again, I'll leave links if I can find the English edition if you prefer that. It would have been a lot of help for me doing this review. But anyways, thank you so much for watching, and I will see you soon on Colour with Claire.